Hume offers numerous challenges to the religious belief in miracles. His challenges to miracles are required specifically by the WJEC specification, and so in a Part A question, if you are asked for an explanation of the challenges to miracles, then David Hume is expected. We are already familiar with the definition of miracle as given by Hume, but it is worth reminding ourselves of it, because it is miracles according to this definition that Hume rejects. The kinds of events allowed as miracle by other scholars may fall outside this definition, such as coincidences, and Hume would not allow that such events are miracle at all. Hume specifically rejects events that actually break or violate a law of nature due to the actions of a god or similar entity. Hume's argument here begins in an a priori style argument. It attacks the very concept of miracle. He begins by pointing out that according to the definition given before, our human experience of miracle is that natural laws always happen and we have a lot of evidence for it. Our experience is firm and cannot be changed. That is what a natural law is. It is a fixed law that will not change. The only kinds of events that can happen are those which happen according to the laws of nature, and if, for example, we were to witness lead floating in midair or wood that when set alight does not get burned up, then that is because the laws of nature are in operation and thus can explain the event. We have little or no evidence for a suspension of such laws, thus it would be impossible to ever prove that a miracle had happened. This second challenge is also in part a priori. Again, it challenges the very concept of miracle. Here he is challenging the accounts of miracles given by people, but he is saying that given our prior experience, it seems that the individual account of miracle given by people are not enough to outweigh the huge amounts of experience we have for the laws of nature. He points out that the only way we could accept the account of a person who claims, say, that a person rose from the dead is if the opposite, his continued death, would be even more incredible and miraculous. This actually leads us to a kind of paradox or mutual destruction of arguments. What he means here is that if a person claimed it was a miracle that Bob rose from the dead, we would only believe his account if it would be more miraculous that he did not rise from the dead, in which case it would not be a miracle. The miracle would be him not rising. But him not rising would be in accordance with the laws of nature, and this would not then be a miracle. It is always more likely that the laws of nature will hold good rather than a miracle having occurred. On this empiricist account of natural laws, reports of miracle are intrinsically such that we always have more reason to reject them than to accept them. Miracles are the least likely event probable. It is more likely that there is a difficulty with the witness rather than the laws of nature have been violated, since a violation would go against the experience of thousands of years. If we proportion our belief to the evidence, as Hume argues we should, it seems more likely to conclude that we could never believe in the occurrence of a miracle. There are a number of difficulties with the points Hume has made in the first two arguments thus far. Firstly, Hume has decided before he begins that miracles cannot happen by asserting that natural laws are fixed and cannot change from the outset. This will only be true if miracles cannot happen, but of course that is the point that we are trying to decide. He assumes the falsity of miracle in order to prove the falsity of miracle, and this seems rather a circular argument. It seems then that we could reject his argument. Secondly, Hume refers to the probability of miracles occurring. Here he means the frequency with which they occur rather than the chance of occurrence. However, how often God does miracles might be rather irrelevant. If God is all-powerful but has just not chosen to perform any miracle in the past, it is still possible that miracles might occur. Probability does not enter into it if this is the nature of God, and therefore Hume's argument has no force. Thirdly, whilst Hume argues that miracles are unlikely, this does not make miracles impossible. Just because we have not observed something happening before, or because it is not a regular occurrence, doesn't mean it cannot happen. In addition, if we accept Hume's statements about the fixity of natural laws, then this would imply that we cannot revise or correct the laws of nature, which is highly unacceptable. Hume is trying to suggest that what has been true in the past must be true in the future, since experience is what makes up a natural law. A violation of this cannot be believed to have happened, and so the laws of nature cannot be changed. This does not work in practice, since science regularly has to revise what we think should happen. Newtonian laws had to be revised and re-understood after the work of Einstein and then quantum physics. Hume's third argument also attacks the testimony or accounts of miracle that people put forward. He claims that when miracle is claimed by anyone, we can call the account into doubt for a number of reasons. For instance, there are not enough witnesses attesting the same thing. The witnesses that there are not reliable enough because they lack sufficient education and good sense. They may be deluded or worse, lying. There is no one who is so pure and wise that if they claim they witness a miracle, we could not call their claim into doubt. And finally, if such a person does claim a miracle, it is never in such a time or a place that we can be certain without a shadow of a doubt that there could have been no alternative explanation available. This challenge often offers a critique of the people claiming the miracle rather than the miracle itself. A significant problem here with Hume is that he doesn't explain clearly what criteria would be considered enough to believe an account. How many people would be sufficient? How much education? How much good sense? He also doesn't deal with first-hand experiences. Just because we might not believe others doesn't mean we shouldn't believe it if we see a miracle with our own eyes. Here again, Hume attacks the people making the claims. He points out that if one is to make the claim that a miracle has occurred, then we have to wonder what that person's motives might be. It is a pleasant experience to have attention from others and to bring about surprise and wonder in others. Those who want to tell the story about themselves will tend towards embellishing a story to make the listeners keep paying attention, asking questions and being astonished. Those who only hear about it second-hand will get a good feeling from retelling the story to others as a second-hand account. People want to hear such accounts, and having a captive audience is a temptation for people. In addition, there might be a person who accepts that a miracle did not happen, but sees it as an opportunity to win more believers for the faith. The miracle might be the thing that converts them, so they might keep to their story, not because they think it's true, but because they might convince others to join the faith. This argument from Hume attacks the person rather than the claim itself. Essentially, Hume is saying that all religious people are either stupid or untrustworthy, and there is no substance to this claim. There is also no substance to the claim about people being ready to believe amazing stories. What about the physical evidence that miracles leave behind? If there is physical evidence, then this could support the claim that a miracle has occurred, regardless of whether we trust the person. Since there is the possibility of such evidence, we do not need to rely upon the account of the person. In fact, Hume has placed such a strict burden of testimony upon miracle claims that if we were to apply it consistently, then they would never be able to believe anything that anyone says ever. Even when there is physical evidence to support such claims in front of large numbers of people, he still would not accept them. Hume then has not given sufficient reason for not believing such a claim. Swinburne used his principles of credulity and testimony to point out that unless there is significant reason to doubt, if something seems to have happened, then it probably has, and if someone claims something has happened to them, then it probably did. If we didn't trust this to be the case in any other area of life, then we would have a hard time functioning. This criticism is somewhat contentious. The claim here is that the people who are the most likely to make a claim of miracle are those who come from places where education is limited and where there is a lack of civilization. This challenge seems to attack particular countries or cultures and would be extremely unpopular today. However, if we are to salvage a point from this argument, it might be to say that those claiming miracle are less likely to have a full and rounded education. They may lack the understanding of how the world works, wherever in the world that they might be. This argument, besides being plain wrong, is considered to be highly offensive. This approach is unfairly biased, since every nation has provided claims of miracle, not just the ones he deems ignorant or barbarous. He also hasn't set out for us what he considers to be a level of ignorance or barbarousness. Socrates would say that the true philosopher knows he knows very little. Does that mean if Socrates or Hume himself claimed miracle, they would be dismissed on the basis that they're ignorant? There are many scientists, empiricists, so Hume should value them, who consider themselves to be religious, and so presumably Hume would either have to consider them ignorant too, or climb down from his position. Hume's final point here is that since all the world's religions claim to be correct and the others wrong, when a miracle occurs in any religion, that religion will point to it as a sign that their faith is the one true faith. In Hume's view, then, they cannot all be correct. Since they all claim to be right and the others wrong, it seems that instead these claims show that they are all wrong. A miracle in Islam, according to Christianity, cannot be proof that Islam is correct. It's either not really a miracle or it's evidence of their own faith. Since all will claim this, then they all cancel each other out. This rests upon the premise that different religions are mutually exclusive, since Hume claimed, in matters of religion, whatever is different is contrary, and this assumption is contentious, to say the least. In the past, miracles were sometimes used to establish the truth of one religion above all others, but today many religious people allow that a number of other religions may have some element of truth. Here, Hume's claim that religions are mutually exclusive does not seem to be true. Swinburne makes the point that the miracle only cancels another out if each supports contradictory propositions that are incompatible with each other. Hume would be right that both couldn't be true, but this doesn't mean that one couldn't be true. In fact, if the evidence for one of the miracles were more impressive than the other, then one would win out.